Most projects today rely on configuration to modify key behavior as needed, or gain access to a resource such as an API. Storing this type of sensitive information in your source control is dangerous as it opens up potential exploitation, not just of your project, but also the resources you access. Today we're going to explore the correct way to handle configuration in Python using a library called python-decouple. So to properly illustrate its usage, we've got to set up a basic Django project, install the library, and use it in the project. So let's get started. So firstly, we're going to create a Django project. So I'm just going to go ahead and cd into a folder. Make the call it starter. cd starter. Alright, so we've already got in Python installed on this machine, so we'll just go ahead and create a virtual environment. So python m then and then after that I'll just open it up in Visual Studio Code. Trust that folder. Alright, so we've got our VNV. So open up terminal. Alright, so now we should be able to enter that virtual environment just by going .env scripts activate PS1. Yep, cool. So now we'll install Django and Python decouple. Alright, now that we've got Django installed, we can use the Django admin command to create our project. Django admin start project, I'll call it starter, and use a dot to make sure that all the project files are set up in the current folder. Yeah, cool, awesome. So most of your configuration for a Django project will happen inside your settings.py. So that'll be your settings for your project, where you'll install apps, middleware, templates, or whatever else you may need. But as you can already see from this file, there are some bits of information that you'd probably want to keep out of your source control. So if we were to put this into GitHub, right now we'd be putting in the secret key, which we definitely don't want to be doing. So with the Python decouple installed, we'd want to create a env file in the base directory, so .env. And we'll practice with these three variables here. So we'll just copy those and put them in here. I'll get rid of this. Turn this into a string. Say .localhost 127.0.0.1. These are essentially the same localhost in this address here. But I figured I'd just include it for because I know that some installations require one or the other. Alright, so we can save that. So now that we've got the Python decouple library installed, we can import it. So from decouple, import config, and also import CSV. So for this top one here, what we'll do is we'll call config and pass in the variable name. So in our case, the secret key is just called secret underscore key and underscore key, sorry, all caps. That'll work. We can do the same thing for true. The one thing to note here is that the debug value for the Django project is actually a Boolean and not text. .env stores all of its values in text, even if not surrounded by quotes. So one of the nifty things about the decouple library is that you can actually cast to a particular variable type. So in this particular instance, we can go config, pass in the value name, and call the cast argument and say that we want to cast the bool. We can do that, and it'll treat it as a boolean. Another value that you may want to look into is default. So we can set a default value, such as false, for example. And we can also pass in an array of string from something like this here. So we could take the entire text and split it out using the comma as a delimiter, or we could use this handy function CSV, which does all that heavy lifting for us. So to do that, we would just pass in config, variable name, allowed hosts. I think that's allowed hosts, yep. And then what we want to do is cast it to CSV. And what that will do is it will pass it into a string array, an array of strings. Yep, just like that. So if we were to start this project as is, we'll be able to run the program, no issues whatsoever, and we won't get any warnings. And we'll test it by changing this value here. But for now, I'll just start up the project. So we'll go python manage.py run server. Yep, so you're seeing this page because the value is set to true. So if we set this value to false, we won't see this landing page. Instead, we'll get a standard 404. So what I'll do is I will change debug to false in the env file. So I'll save that. I'll stop this and I'll run the server again. So it reloads the env file and I will refresh. Yep, and now we're getting this not found page, which means that it is in fact reading from this env file that we've got set up. If you want to dig into the documentation a bit more, you can do so. Python-decouple and just search up GitHub. Look at the source code, which we can actually do a little bit now, just to get a little deeper understanding of how it all works. So I'm looking at the config class, and I'm just looking at the decouple.py file. So under get, which is what's calling the get in our debug in our settings.py, sorry, is it looks as two different sets of variables. So it'll look at OS environment, so your operating system environment variables. And if you can't find that particular option in the environment variables, it'll then turn to your env file. And it looks like it can store a .env file or a .ini file. So .ini, either or, both are accepted, which is handy. Thanks for watching this short tutorial. Please leave a comment, a like, and if you found this video useful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until next time.